Hello everyone, welcome to JXG Spotlight. I'm Gamika De Silva, your host. Today marks a very special day, especially for me. I'm privileged and honored to have our guest speaker today at the studio. Since the inception of JXG Spotlight, I wanted to invite this great personality who is a true inspiration, and I've learned many things from him in my career. So to give, I don't need to give detailed introduction about him. He's an icon. He's a legend. He's known as Chandra Thomas Adolphus Schaffter. For many of us, he's Mr. Schaffter or C.T.A. Schaffter, as he's commonly known as. Mr. Chandra Schaffter, welcome to JXT Spotlight.
Thank you.
It's an honor and a privilege to have you here, Mr. Schaffter. And today, the discussion basically, there are many literature, video discussions with you about how successful you build up this Janashakthi brand, etc. But I want to move into a different angle, especially for the benefit of our followers to understand what really motivated you, what were the barriers, and how was your thinking process, overcoming challenges. To start with, I found an interesting point. Actually, this came off a casual discussion with one of your granddaughters. When one of them asked you what was your dream job when you left school, you mentioned something. Actually, that triggered me to start this conversation. So, as a school leaver, a young 19-year-old Thomian coming out of school, what was your dream job, Mr. Shafter?
The dream job is a job as an executive in a mercantile firm. That's what all of us aspired to. We didn't. Government service was not attractive at all, and all of us, especially from the schools like St. Thomas's and Royal, hoped that their contacts would get them into the mercantile sector where their uncles and fathers also probably worked. So that was really the dream of most of us.
Absolutely. So, St. Thomas's played a significant role in your career as a person, for your business, etc. And one of the highlights is you're the oldest living Sri Lankan cricketer. You're a double international. You played hockey and cricket and represented Sri Lanka. Tell us a bit about how did you get into sports and being a passionate sportsman.
You don't get into sports, you just play. I was playing cricket from the time I was 3 or 4 with my father, and I watched these Royal Thomian matches and other matches, and then you learn to imitate those players. That is how you get along in this game. Imitation is very important in cricket. You look at a good cricketer and try to imitate him, whether he's a bowler or a batsman. Proper imitation and sensible imitation is a very important facet of your progress.
Very interesting thought, Mr. Shafter. You were a fast bowler, and I've heard many things about your fast bowling days back then at college as well as representing Sri Lanka. Who was your role model in fast bowling back then?
Role model as such, I tried to model myself on, though I'm far behind them, on Larwood and Lindwall.
Right. Mr. Shafter, cricket is something that we always speak with you because you were part of cricket administration. You represented Sri Lanka, and success as Tamil Union as well. But a lot of people do not talk about the hockey stint. Can you share some success stories, your memories about the hockey stint playing for St. Thomas's as well as representing Sri Lanka?
Hockey also was a game I played from my youth, almost from age of 9 or 10. And hockey is easier to play. You get hold of another chap and a ball, and he has a stick. And those days we had no sticks. I used my father's walking stick. And he got from a pear tree, he cut a branch which was bent at the bottom, and he played with that. And we played in front of our garden. So that is how we started hockey. It's funny because we didn't play hockey at that age in the school.
Right.
I had been watching the school team, which is much senior, and but I played hockey. And then during the war, of course, I didn't play. But when I came back, I somehow found that I was in the team even without having played hockey for several years. So then we had proper hockey sticks, the school supplied, and so that's how it went on. Then I played for the school. I played at the top level. Then I played for the Tamil Union for several years, 10, 15 years I played for the Tamil Union.
Mr. Shafter, during your sporting days, I've heard this from you, and it wasn't an easy entry to first 11 team or to picked up for the national squad or etc. You had many failures and challenges. Can you recall one of them, and then how did you face that failure? I mean, when you didn't get selected while you believed that you were doing your best.
No, in the first 11, of course, I was playing for the first 11, and then for some unknown reason, my coach decided that because I couldn't go to practice during the holidays, because I was living in Court 8, far away, you had to find bus fare and all that. So I couldn't go. So when I came back, he put me out of the team and didn't even look at me. But at the end of the term, when we were rearing at the end of the term, the custom is to play Trinity College. And that year, for my good fortune, they were playing in Asgiriya,
Right.
which is turf. So they wanted, the batsmen had to practice on turf. So they got all oddbods like me to come and bowl at them. But while I was bowling, a gentleman called A.C. Ahmed, who was an umpire by profession, but had captained Sri Lanka, captained St. Thomas's. So he told, I think he must have told the coach, Bertie Vijay Singh, or something, because they gave me to bowl a little more and played me in the match against Trinity without any reason at all. I took only 1 wicket, but I think the Trinity batsman thrashed the other bowlers and didn't hit me so hard. So on the basis of that, and this is very, very unusual, I got my colours with just 1 wicket, and that was so it was a down for me. And then suddenly I came right up to the top, and I don't think anybody in St. Thomas's or anywhere have got their colours with just 1 wicket and nothing else to show during the whole season. But then from there, of course, I went forward. I played well, and I was among the best bowlers in the school. But that's how it started with cricket.
One more incident from there, Mr. Shafter. I remember you were saying at one point, I think West Indian fast bowler came to.
Leary Constantine came about 3 or 4 years later when I was about 23, 24. And the cricket board selected about 20 boys, young boys, to go to him for what you might call promising young cricketers, to go to him for coaching. So they had a pool, and about the 20, and I was in the pool, and I was very happy because he was a fast bowler, and that's one thing I was interested in. But then, as you know, in our part of the world, things don't happen like that. Some of them found that their favourites were not in the team. So they dissolved the pool and selected another pool.
Okay.
And they had to obviously drop some people. So I had no godfathers, and they dropped me. So, and there would have been a few others as well. I was bitterly disappointed because this is something I was looking forward to. So, but then you take life as it is and you carry on playing, and I carried on with my life. So then Constantine coached in Colombo. Then he went to Kandy and coached the Kandy team.
Right.
So he coached in Kandy for about 6 weeks. And he wanted a team from Colombo to play his Kandy team. So the cricket board secretary just picked up guys from here and there. And I was one of those guys he picked up and took us to Kandy for a match. So on a Saturday morning we played there, and I opened the bowling. And I hadn't even finished my first over when I am told that Constantine turned around and asked the others why I was not in his pool.
Right.
So everybody got excited, and then when I came back, I was in the pool, but I didn't have much time to learn anything. But Constantine went back to England and recommended me for a county position with Sussex. I got an offer for £40 a month and to play for Sussex, but I didn't take that because I was already fairly well established in my work.
Right.
But I think the fact that he recommended me was a good thing, because shortly thereafter they selected me to play for Sri Lanka. Until then I had no chance at all. So that both of them were instances. Then this is what you learn from cricket. You go right to the bottom, and unexpectedly, for no good reason at all, you come to the top. So those are two of the things that happened to me.
Mr. Shafter, very interesting thought. I mean, nowadays some of the youngsters I have seen not handling failure or disappointment very well. You have been disappointed. I mean, when you really expected to play in that team, you got dropped. You were not selected. How did you, as a youngster, handle disappointment?
I think just, as we say in English, take it on the bump.
Life goes on.
That's all.
Absolutely. Mr. Shafter, again, I'm turning back to St. Thomas's. I think you have spoken about it many a times. St. Thomas's played a key role in your career. If you are to turn back and look at St. Thomas's, what St. Thomas's taught you from a value system, I mean, because you were a student, you were a sportsman, head prefect, cricket captain. All that would have given you a lot of exposure and instilled certain values and grit around you to throughout your career. Would you like to share some insights on that?
See, at the time when I really benefited by St. Thomas's when I went into the boarding. That was when I was about 17 years old. I had 3 years in the boarding. Before that, I was a day scholar, and the war intervened for 3 or 4 years. I didn't go to St. Thomas's. When you're in the boarding, especially, the first thing you learn is discipline and to obey orders. And discipline is very important. You have to go for your breakfast on time, your lunch on time. When you have to go for your prep, that is your study, you have to be there sharp on time. You're not tolerated when you go late. So, first of all, I was also one of those who was a boy. Then I became a house prefect, and then I became a school prefect. I became a head prefect. And when you become a prefect, you have to see that others follow the rules. And unless you have done that, it's very difficult to expect others to follow. Absolutely. So that way I had no problem. And we also had a lot of difficult times. It was just after the war. War ended in 45 and I went into the boarding in 47. There were a lot of unruly students also who during the days when the army was there and people were just had no rules to follow.
Right.
So they tried to continue that, and as a prefect, I and one or two others, we decided we are going to put this right, and we made it clear that we won't tolerate indiscipline. And I think at the end of the time when I left, the warden was very grateful because he said that I was one of those who had helped to bring the school back to normality.
It's very important to set that discipline right. In terms
Yes,
of
and also you risk your popularity, but then you can't have popularity if you want to have discipline. You have to.
Absolutely, you have to take sometimes those tough calls.
Yes,
if you have to
that's part of life.
Part of life. Mr. Schaffter, in terms of your career, Colombo University also played a significant role, although the stint was shorter. You have explained this to me. But in my view, coming from St. Thomas's to Colombo Uni, entering the uni would have been definitely a culture shock.
It was a big culture shock in many ways because in the university people are very free with themselves. You come from St. Thomas's, we are disciplined, you follow the rules, and you go to class on time and all that. Here, people cut lectures, they do all that, and also you smoke freely. In St. Thomas's you don't smoke. So
Yeah.
the first thing you get shocked is that everybody smokes.
Right.
Or everybody who wants to smoke, smokes. So things like that was a culture shock. But on the other hand, you made good friends. And because I was good at cricket and hockey and I did well for the university, I had more friends than I would normally have had. And of course, you spend a lot of time in the common room having chats and enjoying yourself. So all that part of the university life is very, very good.
More grounded towards the society, and you have a diversified
Also,
set
you
of people.
learn to meet people from different walks of society.
Right.
I'm not being critical or trying to look down, but there were a lot of boys from Ananda and Alanda and all the others. We had to learn to cope with them and also to mix with them. Because they also
different
have
cultures.
passed there. Some of them have done better than most of us.
Yeah.
Then you get students from Jaffna who are very conservative
Yeah.
and don't mix with anybody at all. And those girls don't even talk to boys. So all that type of thing you come across. So you learn a lot that you have to change your outlook on life because now you are in the real world.
Absolutely. Mr. Schaffter, moving from the uni and then coming into your first job, you mentioned somewhere you literally walked all the streets in Colombo to find a job. It was tough at that time. Today, a lot of youngsters who are just coming out of school or just passing out from uni expect a job on a platter. What was it like? And share your experience with the hardship of finding a job.
No, see, I was a dropout from the university, and I was hoping that because of my school record, and I had passed my O level anyway, and I passed a part of my university entrance. I passed one subject. And I must have been an exception, because I don't think anybody got into the university with one subject, but somehow they put me in. I have nobody to speak on my behalf. It
Absolutely.
must be somebody from above, I think. Anyway, I was like all my colleagues who were getting executive jobs, hoping that I would get it, but I didn't. And so I had to go from place to place. Somebody says, go and try this and try that. And so I kept on doing that. I walked to various places, but I didn't succeed. I only got the lowest level of jobs, and I didn't want to take that at that time, hoping that I would get a better job. But it didn't work out. And finally, in desperation, I took a job as a clerk at Ceylon Insurance, because I knew for 1 year I had walked around. I didn't get in. So I thought half a loaf is better than no loaf.
No loaf. So at any point, did you feel like giving up?
No, I won't give up. I have to. If I give up, I'll have to starve, because I won't have a job. And I have no one to look after me. I had no parents.
Means of living, that was your determination to drive. So I think, that probably is the kickoff. I'm not going to deep dive into how you got into insurance, because I think, we have spoken about it and there's been literature around it. But one thing that a lot of people had not spoken, we speak to you, we refer to you as a father of insurance, because insurance is your pet area and you build it up for Sri Lanka and define that whole landscape for insurance. But beyond insurance, you ventured into many other businesses also. Without me stealing the thunder, I would like to offer you that opportunity to, talk to us about that experience, because, there were diversified businesses, Mr. Schaffter, that you commenced.
I have forgotten most of what I have done. But anyway, one thing I did which was hard work, and very hard work, and took a lot of building up, was the Kotmale dairies, where we, the second company, we were not the first to start cheese manufacture locally. Before that, all our cheese was imported. The Esufali Group, I think, was doing it on Seven Hills Farm or something. But we went for it in a big way. And big way means that we were determined to do it well. And then we started building on that, and then we expanded into pasteurized milk, UHT milk, yogurt, and then we made very good ice cream. Everything you could do with milk, we were doing at one stage. And we started in old estate bungalow belonging to a Kangani.
Right.
Where my nephew, who was running the thing, who was doing the cheese, lived in one half of the house, and in the other half we had the cheese factory.
Right.
So it was that small. And we got workers from the neighboring estate to come and work, so we didn't have a problem of labor. And every week I used to go up on a Saturday and come back on a Sunday, go up to Hatton or to Kotagala and come up and down. I used to go, because in the early days I was anxious to see that nothing went wrong. So we built it up slowly, and then it became quite big.
Yeah.
But then it reached a stage when, in order to keep up with the big boys, we needed a lot of funds, and we are a family company. We don't have that. So Cargill's offered to buy us out, and we got a good price, so we sold it.
Mr. Schaffter, this was post your insurance, after you started Janashakthi?
Long after. No. Before I started Janashakthi. I started Janashakthi in 94. I started this in 87.
All right, okay. So whilst you were working that, you started. What was the thought behind suddenly getting into dairy? Was it?
I had a nephew who had been trained in Denmark.
Right, okay.
And he didn't want to work in the milk board because it's full of corruption. So he asked me whether he can start. So he had no money.
Okay.
I didn't have money either, but anyway, we find the money, and he
had
small beginnings, so it was possible for us to run it. And he was very, very good. He gave a lot of himself to it. And he was a good cheese maker too. So that's how we got a name, largely due to him.
All right, okay. Mr. Schaffter, you also initiated an education institute back then, Vichali International.
No, I didn't initiate it.
Right.
I was one of the partners. I had two other colleagues of mine who were with me in insurance.
Right.
So the three of us started it. The two of them really were the effective partners. I was just a sleeping partner.
Okay, all right. Very interesting, Mr. Schaffter. So Going back to insurance, I think, this is an example we speak many a times. You started insurance when you were 64 years old.
No, I started Janashakthi.
Janashakthi when you were
I
64
started
years.
insurance at
way
22.
back. 22, yeah, that career was built. So usually a 64-year-old even now, I mean, do not dream of starting a job or starting a business for that matter. Even today, as we speak, you will design products and come and inspire, saying that let's do a product like this. And some of those insurance groundbreaking products were your thought process ideas, which we changed the market, changed the market landscape, and we were doing things extraordinary level rather than going by the tradition. What is the driving motive behind your thinking, starting at 64, coming out with novel products? And Janashakthi is known as the innovator in the insurance field.
Nothing particular. You just, I wanted to start an insurance company, so whether I was 64 or 85, I was going to start it.
Okay.
Yes.
So age was not an issue.
No, in fact,
Yeah.
I had already helped C.T.A to set up.
Right,
All
yes.
their policies were drafted by me, and they kept them for nearly 20 years without changing them.
Right, okay.
It's later on, only when AIA took over, that they changed them. Otherwise, from the time they started, they never changed those policies that I did for them.
And you're one person who drove the company and inspired the company to think differently. For instance, the product range, even now, if you look at some of those products, were the first to come to market.
When I started Janashakthi, I had to be different.
Right.
Because there were 7 companies or 4 or 5 companies who were 5 or 6 years ahead of me. So
Right.
I couldn't follow them. So I had to, all the policies I did were different from what any of them had.
And how did the market respond, Mr. Schaffter?
We did quite well. I mean, they did quite well.
Absolutely. I think, I remember the time that I was handling brands at Janashakthi Life, and these products were very different to the market, and we had the advantage of becoming different and, marketing things in a different way. So moving from there, Mr. Schaffter, I'd like to, pick your brain in terms of your administrative stint at the Sri Lanka cricket also, because I think that also played a key role in terms of your career. You were a selector, you were a manager, and you were involved in administration in Sri Lanka cricket. I'm sure that was some interesting times, and it's a passionate area for you. Many of those youngsters who joined the Sri Lanka team at that time, and Sri Lanka was not the number one, but we were fighting ourselves towards up. Any significant memories and interesting memories managing set of youngsters?
Well, I took over the team as I had managed it in 91, but that was when I took it a young team. In 96 we won the World Cup. Then in 99 we went to England for the World Cup, did so badly.
We were out of the first round.
We were not even in the second round,
Yeah.
I think. So when they came back, they removed the manager, the coach, and all the selectors. And the minister dissolved the interim committee also and appointed, dissolved the cricket board and appointed an interim committee. So that interim committee had Kanda Kumar and Michael Tissera and Siddharth Bethamuni and a few others. Okay, they were also friends of mine. So they came to me and asked me to manage the team. So I said, I'll take it on. So I took it on in 99. Our first match was a triangular 50-over game against India and Australia. We won that match. The final match was against Australia. We won it by 8 wickets. So we had done very well, and the minister wrote a letter and congratulated me and all that. Then we played Australia in 3 test matches. The first test, Anganeherath ran through the side, but before the match could end, rain came and saved them. The next match in Kandy, we beat them soundly. Then again in match at the SSC, the rain saved them. We were definitely on the up and the rain saved them. So I had done quite well. But then I think the cricket board people who had been moved out were not happy. And they were going to the minister and telling him that I was an LTTer and that I should not be allowed to manage the team. And so this whispering campaign was started, and the minister suddenly told the board to ask me to resign. So I said, I'm not willing to resign. I didn't do anything which deserves resignation. And I said, if you want, you sack me.
Okay.
We were going to Zimbabwe shortly. 2 days before we went to Zimbabwe, he sacked me.
Okay.
And so I didn't go, and they appointed Stanley Jaising, who was already in South Africa or something like that. But the press who knew what I had done were very friendly with me. They were very angry with me. So one of them got him on TV and asked him, why did you sack Mr. Schaffter? So he said, he's an LTT. He has got troops in South Africa. And if those troops attack the team, I can't be responsible for their safety.
Gosh.
So I was compelled to sack him.
How did you handle a situation like that? I mean, it would have been mentally.
Yeah. I didn't worry because I had done
nothing. Yeah.
I know whether I'm LT or not. I know.
Yeah.
But it affected my staff.
Yeah.
Because when when the staff salespeople went, the people say, "Mokadu, me koti shakti neda."
All right. Okay.
So they couldn't sell.
Yeah.
My relatives couldn't walk on the roads. They
Okay.
were frightened that people would say this and that to them.
Yeah.
Because this was publicized. It came in the papers.
Absolutely.
Because the minister is saying it.
Yeah.
But that's how life is. So you take life as it comes.
As it comes, yeah.
Then again, another 3 or 4 years later, they came back again and got me to manage the team to England.
Absolutely. Mr. Schaffter, during your time managing the team, I think some of the youngsters, I think Kumar started the career.
Yes, Subhan started his career with me.
Lasit Malinga joined the team during that
Malinga
time.
didn't come at that time.
Okay.
No.
Ajanta Mendis joined the
Who?
team. Ajanta Mendis?
Yes, Ajanta I think it
also.
just started.
Just started. So during that time, the youngsters coming into the team, any of those youngsters, if you don't want to mention names, is fine. Anybody who were rebellions in the team that difficult to manage, or?
I had no problem. Absolutely none. I told them that these are the rules. You follow the rules, you and I have no problem. And I had absolutely no problem with anybody.
And during that time, I'm not comparing any teams, but these days the social media also plays a key role in terms of creating news, etc. But discipline was one of the core factors that bound the team.
They always knew, no?
Yeah.
So I have told them these are the rules. Don't break the rules. That's all. If you get caught, and in St. Thomas's we are taught, do but don't get caught.
Absolutely. That's a good, interesting one. Okay, I'm moving into another question, which is about the Janashakthi Group, more for the business side of it. Janashakthi Group has now become stronger and stronger than ever, with First Capital, Orient Finance, and insurance under their arm, and the group is looking at expansion. As the founder of Janashakthi, how do you see this company moving forward? I mean, in my reading, not that I'm being a part of the group that I'm biased towards it, but the general perception is a family company, a very professional family company, expanding, has a lot of credibility, and Janashakthi name has a lot of credibility around it, and this has potential to grow furthermore. How do you envision this company to grow in the future?
I would like to see Janashakthi life growing. I am happy to see First Capital and Orient and anything else they have.
Life still plays a special part in your...
The heart of Janashakthi is in Janashakthi life.
Absolutely.
And that must grow and become a force to reckon with in the insurance world. That's what I hope it will be.
Mr. Schaffter, additional question. This logo, Janashakthi logo, is very sacred to us, and we are very, very emotional about it. The design of the logo, that has a deep meaning. I know that, even, the time we spend in terms of giving into that detail. What was the thinking behind? Who came out with the idea? What was the thought process?
We had an advertising consultant, I think, whom we were discussing with. And I was very keen to have something which both communities would understand and which would resonate with the feelings of both communities. So the lamp was something which both Hindus and Buddhists
equally have
an affinity to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the name Janashakthi is understood by both communities. They are Sinhalese know what Janashakthi is.
Yeah.
Tamils. So that is what I thought. And Janashakthi means the strength of the people.
Absolutely.
So that is something that would, the fact that they have this insurance will give them strength. So that is what motivated me towards getting those two.
The lamp was the idea from you, or was it your...
No, the lamp, see, he gave us various ideas and I chose the lamp.
Yeah.
For me, the lamp is, immediately I realized the lamp is the one which will go best. I don't know whether others think the same, but
No, I think, from a research point of view also, we recently did a research to one of our subsidiaries, and the Janashakthi name and the lamp, that has a lot of credibility. Awareness levels were very high. I think we need to leverage more on the brand now. Yeah, so from
only
a
thing is
family...
I get no royalty for any of this.
I think I need to speak to your sons about it, I guess. Mr. Schaffter, from a family origin company now, the third generation, the next gen is also getting involved in the business. How proud are you about, as a grandfather, seeing your the third
I'm
generation?
happy. I won't say proud. But if they are going to get into this business, they must earn their place.
Absolutely.
There is no question to me in my mind. I thought the same even with my children, but then they were very good and they were able to handle it. But the others must not think that just because this is their grandfather's business, that's not on. They have to be able to earn their place in the company. I'd be happy if a member of the company gets in, but they have to earn that place.
Yeah, and that's how professional we have run this organization over the last 3 decades. I asked this question with Ramesh at one of his interviews like this also. Your children had many different characteristics and strengths coming into the table to the business. I know for a fact that I work very closely with Ramesh. He's very creative, outspoken, etc. Prakash is more on the, administratively very disciplined, is like well organized. Manjula brings in another perspective. Dinesh had a different flair in terms of bringing into business. The thinking process was different. What is your view about these 4 kids bringing in different perspective to the business?
In fun, I used to tell my sons that my daughter is equal to all 3 of them.
Okay, Manjula, right.
Each one have their skills.
Yeah.
As you said, Ramesh is quick thinking and in his area, he is very, very good. Prakash knows the business and is very sound. Manjula is, I would say, in many ways, she is the best of all. She is very, very, and she is very particular and she is very strict.
Yeah.
She doesn't compromise. She won't compromise for anything.
Absolutely.
Dinesh, of course, was again brilliant. He was very good, very quick mind he had.
The thinking was very different from all the other 3. Interesting, Mr. Schaffter. Thank you for that. I'll create a vacuum if I don't ask this question. Mrs. Lilani Schaffter played a very silent but a very important role in this success in your life, in the business, and raising 4 kids among many challenges. I mean, you all had to go through a lot of challenges, Sri Lankan socio-economic political situations, to even raising them elsewhere, giving them education whilst you were fighting out in terms of, creating a career. Would you like to, talk about it with us, Mr. Schaffter?
She was not silent in any way.
But I would say, behind the screen.
I would say in many ways she was responsible for our success because she brought up the children very, very well. She was a strict mother, but they learned the correct standards of behavior from her. She never compromised. I can tell you that she will never compromise on anything that is wrong.
Absolutely.
And she is blunt. And if she doesn't like you, she will tell you that to your face. She won't go behind and tell the others.
Absolutely.
So that way she was very good. But the main thing is she ran my house in India for 10 years and then in England for another 5 years, all on her own. I just go occasionally. In India I used to go up and down, but in England I hardly went. And so she ran the house and at the same time brought up those 4 boys because I was never going to send them on their own.
Yeah.
They would have been totally unmanageable when they came back. So she made a huge sacrifice because in some ways we lived apart for 15 years. Till my children finished their education.
And one of those disciplines, Ramesh mentioned this at one point, sharp eyes in terms of picking up what's wrong and being very perfect. I asked, how do you do that? He said, this comes from my mother. Mr. Schaffter, last 2 questions to conclude our discussion. If we turn back, you have passed 9 decades in your life. You have gone through many eras. You have many experience to share with. I know that, the time allocated is not enough. We can go on for days about talking through your experience. If you turn back and if you give a chance for you to change anything in your life in the past 9 decades, would you change anything, and what is it if it is so?
I don't know. It's very difficult. I have taken life as it came, and I have not been the worse for it. I have learned to take the good with the bad. I don't sit down and cry.
Right.
Metaphorically, if something, like when they dropped me from the Thomian team, I carried on with life. When they didn't take me into the Sri Lankan pool, I didn't. I went on. I went to work and I carried on. It so happened that there was a change, but even if there was no change, see, when I captained the team, I injured my leg. In the year just before the Royal Thomond match, the doctor said he's okay, he can play. The coach said he's not okay, he shouldn't play, and I was not allowed to play. But you learn in St. Thomas's, take those things, you take it and go home and carry on. On the day after the match, I was playing hockey.
All right, okay.
So, and I know that the warden finally said, I know Schaffter should have played, the coach kept him out. But that didn't help me, I couldn't play, and that is the ambition of every Thomian to play the captain, to play. To captain is something. So I played 3-4 years and couldn't captain. So those are things that part. So you learn that as you go on in life, you will have these ups and downs in everything you do.
Mr. Schaffter, for the benefit of our followers and listeners, if you like to give a piece of advice to the younger generation, the eras have changed. The digital era has taken. People want instant gratification. They want things faster. Sometimes the patience run out quite fast as well. Building up their career, studying, and young sportsmen, what's that piece of advice would you like to leave them with?
I think one is you must have confidence in yourself. That is very important. For instance, we started Janashakthi life with no money. We started Janashakthi General on a 5-minute discussion.
Right.
No document, nothing. After that only we started everything else. I took the decision to start Janashakthi General in 5 minutes.
Right, okay.
So everybody can't do that, or everybody may not. But you must have the confidence that you can do your job. Then I think that is failing in a lot of our people. They don't have that confidence in themselves. They must have that confidence. And of course, you must be honest. If you don't have a good name, you can't go forward.
Absolutely.
I can say without any problem that my children have a good name.
Absolutely.
They don't cheat people, and people all trust what they say. So those are things which are very important in life. And of course, you must know your subject. You must know. If you don't know your subject, don't try to teach others.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you must know your subject properly.
Absolutely. So you have to walk the talk, and you need to have the confidence to even try out.
Yeah.
And honesty, integrity plays a key role.
Absolutely. Because when you, especially in insurance, you know what is a term insurance policy.
Yeah.
So what is that? You get your money if you die. But some of these agents, they go to sell it to a lady. She'll say, will I get my money after 20 years? Yes, madam, you'll get it after 20 years. No, you can't do that.
So you can't, yeah.
That guy won't be there in 20 years. That lady won't get any money.
But the company will get a bad reputation and you can't continue. Yeah.
So that is why integrity is very important. But one thing you can be sure, if you earn a good name, others will recommend you to their friends.
Absolutely.
It's very important.
Well, thank you, Mr. Schaffter, for joining us today. I know I had to try to squeeze in and manage within the time. I had many questions. Hopefully that we will catch up on another day to discuss. There'll be a lot of followers who will be listening to this and also maybe asking questions about continuity and, picking your brain and getting your experience. So thank you very much for taking time and joining us at JXT Spotlight, Mr. Schaffter.
Thank you. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Well, folks, that's a very, very interesting conversation. I barely found the time was running out, but I had to manage these questions within the given time slot. I'm sure there was a lot of inspiration, a lot of learnings. One key thing that I learned today is everything that happens in life is either a lesson or a blessing. You need to have the courage and the discipline to be focused, and life continues. And Mr. Schaffter shared not only the success but also the failures, and life continues. And you stay true to your morale, your principles, and you will succeed. Have that confidence and move forward in life. So thank you very much for joining. Subscribe to our channel if you like our content. Until next time, thank you very much. I'm Gamika De Silva signing off.